Tage Thompson. You know, Josh is rightfully, I would say, playing the Moonlight Freebird remix. Did you hear there with the Screaming Eagle? Have we gone too far? No? Is it not becoming overplayed already again?
No. I could listen to this on repeat for days.
It's very in tune now with USA Hockey. It was the year of USA Hockey doing really well, and this was the song that went along with all of it. Steven Ellis, Daily Faceoff on the Western Hotline. Are you getting sick of the Freebird remix, Steven? Or are you still loving it?
You know, I don't think I ever really analyzed the solo up until it was brought up to me around the World Juniors, and it's like one note the entire time, just like bending in, and like, yeah, it's kind of isn't very interesting. But hey, you know, USA Hockey loves it.
Yeah. How about we'll get to Thompson here. It's the reason I wanted to get you on. But the year that USA Hockey had, they win the World Juniors. They did pretty well. I mean, they looked on par at a lot of that series with Canada at the Four Nations. They win the World Championships. Feels like they had a pretty big calendar year, or I should say 12 months heading into next year's Olympics.
Yeah, like the women's team was very successful. The sled hockey team was very successful. And even at the U18s, they put up a good fight when most people didn't have them even getting a medal. So huge year for this program. And like, especially on the senior side, like I remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, the whole talk about this team in the tournament was like, okay, USA's there because they have to be. Like, none of the players seem to care. This is not a big deal for them. Like, like Rocco Grimaldi would be like the star player for the Americans. Or these guys that you would not guys play in the NHL. So for them to there, you could tell, yeah, it wasn't maybe the strongest lineup on paper, but there was going to be a lot of this young talent that was going to go out there and bring that speed. They weren't there just for a trip to Sweden and Denmark. Like, they were there to win, and it worked out really well. So, yeah, like, there's probably not the strongest team we've ever seen win gold, but it's a team that came together well, had a lot of shooters, and now they're world champions.
Of those shooters, of course. And very cool moment, obviously, when they win the trophy and they bring out Johnny Gaudreau's jersey. Zach Werenski went to get it. So emotional, too. For Thompson, so he scores the golden goal, which is the highlight that's obviously circulating now. For the whole tournament, though, Steven, how did you feel like he played, and did he feel like he was one of the U.S.'s best players from beginning to end?
Yeah, like he went out and had 9 points, 3 goals against Norway. Was actually a really big deal given that the Americans essentially collapsed against Norway. So, again, if you told me the Americans were going to win gold after that game, I would have been totally shocked. But what Thompson was doing every game was playing a consistent two-way game. And physically, it looked like no one was able to contain him out there. Like, it's one thing to go up there and battle against guys in the Eastern Conference and go up against, like, the Kachuk brothers and stuff like that. But at this tournament, he was out there playing against guys Kazakhstan and Germany, Norway, not the toughest competition in the world, and was physically dominant against them. And that type of high-end momentum really kind of carried on as the tournament wore on, where he was one of the better players most nights. So, yeah, he had 6 goals. He was very good in that department. He did a good job around the net. He was good on the power play, and he did a good job of knocking guys off. So, I like this two-way game. I thought he was very effective there, and so it was only fitting that he got the game-winning goal.
How big is that for the physicality that he maybe had in the two-way game for him making the Olympic roster next year? Because with all the offensive firepower the U.S. has, I mean, if he's going to be, a third-line option for that team when they go overseas to the Olympics, how much do you think he did for himself in that regard during this tournament?
Well, I think he showed how effective he could be on big ice, and I think that's really going to help there when they go to Italy. And the good thing about the Olympic tournament is they do bring bigger rosters. It's only 2 extra players and basically 1 forward, 1 defenseman, but I think you can look at the Four Nations team and say, okay, would he have been the guy they called on to be that extra player if they needed that? So I'd say potentially. But he really showed the USA Hockey, like, okay, this is look at what I could do here on the bigger ice. I could skate, I could hit, I could block shots, I could do everything there. When you look at the fact that guys like Vincent Trocheck, Chris Kreider, Brock Nelson, they might be on the outside looking in here, I think Tage has really made sure, like, okay, at the very least, put me on as the fourth line, like, winger. I could do that.
Steven Ellis with us from the Daily Faceoff on the West Her Hotline. When you think of that U.S. roster a year from now, is that those couple of changes the biggest you would expect? Obviously, there's a lot of hockey to play between now and then, but how different that team could look from what we saw at the Four Nations tournament?
Well, I wonder if Cole Caulfield's going to make it there, too, because that's the guy that, when that roster was named, he was the highest goal-scoring American at the time. So to lead him off was a bit surprising there, but I think that's a guy who's played for a lot of momentum down the stretch this year. I think he should be there. Of those three guys mentioned before, Trocheck, Kreider, and Brock Nelson, I could see them all being left off the roster. Nelson, I like what he brings in the two-way game, but again, I think there's a bit more skill to be had here. With USA, they are playing in a bit of a weaker group, so that is going to, I think, give them a bit of an advantage there. They should put up a fight with guys like Peterka and Reichel and Stützle. Denmark, they're riding high with that fourth place finish. And the thing about this tournament is, like, you look at the Americans, they hadn't won since 1933, but when it comes to the European teams, like, those are the teams that play together all year long, and that's why they put up such a good fight. That's why Switzerland, the team with only a handful of NHLers, nearly won the whole thing. It's because these guys know how to play together so well. You look at Latvia, that's a tough team. So the Americans are the clear favorites in terms of pure skill in Group C, but they've got a couple teams there that know how to shut you down. So you're going to want to have all the offensive firepower, and I think that's going to be something where they're not going to try and match Canada. Like, that's what their roster felt like. They were going out there to try and match Canada at the Four Nations. When it comes to the Olympics, I think they're going to go for a pure, flat-out skill.
All right, I like it. Steven Ellis from Daily Faceoff at SLS Hockey on Twitter and Blue Sky, and he's got a piece up about the 5 players that did the best for their Olympic stock, and Thompson's one of the 5, so be sure to check it out. Thanks, Steven, for the time, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Steven Ellis on the West Her Hotline. Tage Thompson scoring the golden goal, and now he heads to a summer where I don't really have many questions about him next year other than what position he'll play. There is that, right? He's a winger. I think he's a winger now that can play center when he's needed to and will do fine if he has to. But I would imagine he's a winger to start next year, assuming Josh Norris is healthy. 803-0550 is the phone number. Are we all in agreement that Panthers-Oilers is the series that we want in the finals? That's what I want. I don't need Dallas. Dallas just does not interest me at all. A rematch of... It would be a rematch to me of the best player in the world against the best team. Give me McDavid against the Panthers. Again, knowing Draisaitl actually had a better season. But Oilers and Panthers is easily the series that I would like to see.